Hello, and welcome to tonight's webinar. Once again, I'm your host for this evening's webinar. My name is Sterling McKinley. And once again, this webinar is brought to you, presented by US Black Chambers and also Grow with Google. For the past month, we've been talking about social media. I started off talking about social media 101, some of the features, how to approach social media. We talked about LinkedIn. We talked about Facebook, Instagram as well. And, tonight, I had it planned to talk about Twitter some and mostly about Snapchat. But I really want to hear from you, because sometimes I feel like I'm talking to to the atmosphere. But I really want to hear your feedback. So tonight, this webinar is really all about you. You have two choices. So do me a favor. In the chat box right now, type one if you want to hear more about Snapchat and Twitter. Type one. Type two if you want to learn more about social media in general. So uh, what that is we have more of an open conversation, kind of a Q&A where you can ask me anything about social media. You can send me links to your Facebook account or send me a link to your Instagram account, and I give you live feedback. If you want to do that, type two. So once again, one, if you want to talk about Snapchat and Twitter. Type two, if you want to have an open conversation where I answer your questions you have about social media. So let's see. Got two, got a one. Okay, we're split. All right. And anybody else gonna log on and be the tiebreaker? Okay, I got two. Okay. All right. So I got two twos. All right. So let's do that. And I think that's something that really is a hallmark of social media, because this is a two-way conversation. It's just not me talking to you. Hey, here's what I think. Here's what I want to talk about. It's really a back and forth. So that's why tonight I stopped and I asked you that question. And that's something too that you can use in social media. You want to have that two-way conversation. So it always shouldn't be about you posting your latest offer or your product, your service, but it should be you posting things that your audience wants to hear about. And I think as business owners, we spend so much time thinking and guessing what people want to hear about, what things people want to see. But we can ask our customers, both offline and online, what do you want to see? What do you want to hear? We can look at our analytics, look at our numbers, look at our likes, our shares, our comments, and find out from that what people also want to hear about. So that's something that's very key. No matter if you're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, whatever you're on, having that feedback is going to make you better, because then you're going to get more engagement. And by that, I mean, you'll get more likes, comments, shares, and all that stuff. Why? Because you're creating content that is connecting with your audience. So on that note, let's start the question. So once again, feel free to type in any question you have in the chat box right now, and I'll answer that. That question can be digital marketing, it can be social media, anything. Just throw any question at me, and I'll do my best to answer that question. So once again, anything. It can be any questions you have about digital marketing, social media. It could be a challenge you're having with digital marketing and social media. But now is the time to type in those questions and get the answers. And I'll say too, while I'm waiting on those two questions to come in, um, like I said, I love doing these webinars, these classes where I talk to people, but there's nothing like that one-on-one interaction. So that's something I really, really enjoy, having somebody ask me a question that's not so much general, but more targeted about their business. And, I feel through that, a lot of learning occurs. So once again, this is the time to ask those targeted questions. If you got a pressing or burning question on social media, now is the time to ask that. So we have one question right here. Let's see what we have. It says, there are so many platforms. In your experience, which ones lead the most customers engagement? Yeah, that's a great question. And, something I say is that as a business owner, you have to be very tactful about where you spend your time. And I was saying that use social media. Don't let social media use you. And what I mean by that, if you let it, social media will take all your time. You'll be on every network, posting and sharing all the time. But no, I think the key is to find out what networks work for your business and be on those networks. So, my question for you, a follow up, tell me about your business. What kind of business do you have? If you tell me what kind of business you have, I can tell you what networks may work better for you. So, take a second and just type in what is your business? Well, what do you do? If you tell me that, then I can tell you more targeted what networks you should be on for your business. And while I'm waiting on that response, I'll answer one question we have here. Um, it says, "Does being digitally literate help with digital marketing?" Yeah, I agree. And one thing that I do also in my career is I'm really big on digital equity and closing the digital divide because I believe, especially as Black entrepreneurs and business owners, that uh, the reason why Black companies are struggling, I think a lot of times, is because of marketing. And I believe, to exist now in this world, in this economy, you have to be digital. So, outside the business, if you don't have a cell phone, if you don't have an email address, you're behind. So I think a lot of those things still show up in our business. So yes, I think being digital savvy is key. And I know it can be hard, it can be challenging to be digital savvy, but stay out with the time because everything is digital now. The world, the economy, your customers are digital. So I think once again, like the previous question, the key is deciding what technology you should embrace, what technology is going to work best for your business, and try to learn that technology, whether that's using digital marketing, email, social media. Find out what works for your business, for your customer base, and you want to master that technology. I think that's really key. So yeah, definitely being astute digitally in your personal life definitely is going to help you in your business life. Okay, I see a few more questions. Let's see, somebody has a web hosting company. So I think for web hosting, one of the best platforms for you is going to be LinkedIn. Why? Because people there are there for business. And once again, you are targeting business owners. So that's the key place. I think one site that everybody should be on is one LinkedIn because people are there to talk about business. Next, I would say there's really three you want to be on. One LinkedIn. Next, I would say Facebook. Why? Because Facebook is the OG network. It's the biggest, has the most reach. So you need to be on Facebook. Why? Because there are so many eyeballs there. And the next one, it can kind of depend. I would say Instagram or Snapchat. You definitely want to be on once again because those are new networks. They're getting a lot of views right now. So I think you definitely want to be on Facebook. You definitely want to be on Instagram, LinkedIn, and possibly Twitter if it makes sense for your business. So once again, focus on those 2 to 3 platforms, and I think you do well. But once again, I think it's all about being where your customers are at. So one thing that people ask about is Snapchat. So Snapchat is one of the newer social media networks. It's really big with younger adults. I believe 80% of Snapchat users are under the age 35. So once again, if you have a brand that's hip, that's young, that's trying to target young customers, be on Snapchat. Now, if you're selling life insurance, well, maybe being on Snapchat is not the best thing for your brand. So I think it's really about making sure that you have a presence on the networks that are going to work for your brand. And one way you can do that is by looking at your competition. Find the market leader in whatever you do. And if they have a large following on network, if they have a lot of interaction, chances are you want to be on a network as well. So I hope that answered your question. Let's see what else questions we have. Um, okay, it says we're in e-commerce or Amazon. We have a brand, a registered store, but we are a social enterprise, a hybrid social movement and commercial interest. Yeah, so seems like you're doing a few things. So yeah, it's great that you're on Amazon. That's awesome. But yeah, I would definitely be on LinkedIn. LinkedIn, I think Facebook will work really good for you. One, because you talk about, you know, having e-commerce store and selling things. I think that makes sense to be on Instagram. I mean, sorry, to be on LinkedIn. And secondly, you talk about social good enterprise. I think that also kind of plays well with the audience that's on Facebook. So I would definitely focus on LinkedIn and also Facebook. But yeah, and once again, try to find companies that are similar to you. And once again, you can look at them and see what networks they're on and get them more traction on. Once again, you want to try to be on those networks. So yeah, definitely I would say Facebook, LinkedIn are probably a good start for you. Another question, it says, how can I get better captions or making fun or entertaining content? I think I'm good at educational. Yeah, that's a great question. I think something that we all struggle with is how to be entertaining and how to be funny. So I taught myself how to be funny. Originally, I was not funny, engaging, but it takes practice to be funny. So I think one thing you can do is I'll share a site with you, and this site is a site where you can download memes and GIFs, other ways to be funny. So let me share that with you right now. Let me zoom in and make it a little bigger for you. So this site right here is full of GIFs and memes that you can download for your business. So once again, if you're trying to be a little more funny, you can download some images here or some videos and get a better idea. Um, so this is a great way to be a little bit funny, entertaining. This pulls in different things from TV, politics, sports that are just funny. So I would try that if you're trying to be a little more a little more funny, entertaining. But saying that too, being educational is great because at the end of the day, I think on social media now everybody is trying to be funny. So, in my opinion, funny is not even funny anymore. There's so much comedy, so much joke on social media that you just see the joke and you just move on. How many times do you see something funny and you actually take an action with that company or that person? Do you comment? Do you buy something? Probably not a lot. So I think one of the ways to stand out is being educational. But when you're being educational, still try to be engaging, still try to be funny if you can. But I think education is definitely the way to go because once again, there's so much comedy out here now. I mean, everybody's trying to be funny. I mean, babies, grandmas, rappers, singers, dancers, everybody's trying to be funny. So I don't think you ever go wrong with being educational. That's definitely something that's going to make you stand out. And one thing I'll say too, before I move on, is be careful because on social media now there's so many trends and fads. Every week there's a new dance, something like that. You know, I don't chase that stuff. I have never done challenge online. I've never done one because they're just corny to me. So doing fads and challenges to me is just how you blend in. Try to be different. And I think one way you can do that is by establishing your tone. If you're a funny person, be funny. Myself, if you go to any of my pages on Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever, you see the same guy here in the suit. Yes, I'm smiling and talking, but I'm giving information, and that's what pull people's in. So be careful about how funny you try to get because you don't wanna become just a comedian on online social media. You're on social media to make sales. So always keep in mind that you want to position yourself to be an authority and not just to be a funny person. So that was a great question. Let's see, we have some more. Um, Yes, they are copyright free. If you go to the site, there is a page that lists that any meme on the site or GIF that you download is copyright free. So you should be okay with that. Posting from that again. Once again, you know, this is a way of marketing. A lot of companies and musicians and actors are actually creating these memes. Why? Because that's kind of how you can go viral in a sense. So if you have a funny clip of you singing or even a business, that's a way that you can extend your brand. So once again, it's a form of marketing as well, in the form of sharing. I believe I may have one on here I uploaded for my business, and that's the thing too. You can upload your own images and videos to the site, and you can have them posted. Yeah, I thought I had one in here, but I don't see it. But yeah, that's the great thing about the site. Anybody can upload a meme and make something funny. A person, a brand, a company. There's no limit on what you can upload. Great. Any more questions about social media or any struggles that you're having on social media? Once again, now is the time to ask those. Just drop your comment in the chat box, and I'll be sure to respond to it. Let me go back here, see if I missed anything. No, no, I think we're good. So once again, any more questions or comments about social media, just drop those in the chat box, and I'll be sure to answer those. While you're waiting, I'll say one thing too. Um, I think in life, in business, social media, digital marketing, there's no one size fit all solution. So you always have to be very targeted in what you're doing, making sure that it works for your business. Just because somebody tells you something works, just because you see it working, doesn't mean it's for you. So, make sure that you vet anything that you do online, make sure that it works for your business because once again, there's so much information out there. You want to make sure that you're maximizing your time for your business. So once again, just vet anything you do. Make sure it fits your brand, your tone, your voice before you do it. So with that, like my brand is I try to be what's the word? I try to be a thought leader. So yeah, I'm funny sometimes, but I'm all about sharing knowledge. So in your business, think about that. Think about what do you want to share and what do you want to do. And once again, there's no one size fit all solution. People ask me all the time, what time of day should I post? The truth is, I can't tell you. Now, generally between 10 a.m. posting to about 11, and I'm about 5 to 6 are really good times to post. But once again, there's no way I can tell you that. It really depends on what's happening with your users, what's happening in your network. And something I talked about a lot this past month is looking at your demographics and looking at your analytics. And you have analytics in Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, everywhere. And you can see what times of day people are checking your content. So if you see that people are looking at your content at 1 a.m. and not 10 a.m., we'll switch that and now post content at those times when people are viewing your pages the most. So I'm saying that to say that there's no one size fit all answer. There's general guidelines and best practices and tips, but then you have to take those and you have to customize those to make sure those fit your brand and what you're doing. I have a question here. Do you also have a website that links to your social sites? Yeah, I'm not sure what you're exactly saying, but yes, you definitely want to make sure that you are linking and sharing your social media account. So, one way to do that is in your email. In your email signature, where you have your name and your company, list your link for LinkedIn, for Facebook, for Twitter, and even if you're doing things in person, everything that you put out from your company should have your contact information on there. Not only your phone number, your email, but also your social media information. So business cards, flyers, anything on your website. You should have links and icons that if somebody clicks those, they can go back to your social media site. So I'll show you an example of that real quick. Um, let's go. Just show you my website real quick. So if you go to my website, sterlingking.com, or most websites, if you look up here, let me scroll down some. Sometimes people have them at the top of the site or at the bottom. if you scroll down right here, I'm not sure you can see it, but I have social media icons. Let me try to zoom in some more so you can see those. Oh, 1 second. Uh, okay. That's about best I can do. So if you zoom in here, you see I have links to Twitter, to to LinkedIn, to Instagram, and also Facebook. So once again, if you click one of those, it will direct you to my Instagram page, and you can see that again. So I think that's very important to have. Also, Instagram in your bio. You also want to be to list your link to your website. So have a link going out social media, and have links coming back to your website as well. Same thing. If you were to click on the logo for YouTube, it would pull up my YouTube channel as well. So yeah, I think cross promotion is very key. If you could spend this time being active on social media, make sure that people are seeing your content. So the more you can always share that content and drive traffic there is going to be key for your business. So you definitely want to make sure that you're sharing those links on your website. Any more questions about social media? Any struggles you're having? Feel free to just type that question or comment in the chat box, and I will answer it. Also, if anyone's brave enough, you can drop the link, the URL of your Facebook account, YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, and I can pull up on the screen here and do a live kind of feedback and tell you what things that I would change or add, or what things doing well in your account. So, once again, if you are brave enough, you can always share the URL, the link to your social media page, whether that's on Facebook, Twitter, or so on, and I can do a live kind of audit and tell you what things you should adjust in your page to help you get more engagement. Questionnaire says, how often do you post on social media sites? So it depends. Once again, like I said, find out what works for you. I get a lot of my traction in business from LinkedIn. So I post on LinkedIn once every day. And that may sound like a lot, but once again, LinkedIn makes sales for me. It makes leads. So I'm there. So on LinkedIn, I would say at max, you want to post once per day. At the least, you want to try to post 2 to 3 times per week. On Instagram, once again, if you can daily, it is best. But if not, a few times a week. So it really depends. And I think one thing too is don't get too concerned about posting content every day if you don't have it, because what you don't want to do is post content that just doesn't work. That's filler content. Take the time to make quality posts. So if you're only posting 3 times a week, but they're quality posts, that's fine. I always believe that having quality is better than having quantity. A lot of videos. So it really depends. But definitely once a day. And once again, you want to post most on the networks that you see the most traction on. So if you're getting a ton of views, shares, and comments on LinkedIn, be on that the most. If you're getting a ton of links, comments, and shares on Facebook, spend a lot of time on Facebook. So once again, once a day is best, but if not, definitely a few times a week. One thing that I don't want you to do is open up accounts on too many platforms, and then you have deserted platforms. So that happens now, I think, on a lot of accounts. People open up an account and they post every month, every 6, 9 months, sometimes, and post in a year. Don't go that long. Try to post at least weekly content, because once again, the more you post the content, the more that Facebook, that Instagram, LinkedIn is going to show your content to more people. So once again, posting more content will help get more views on your page. So that was a great question. Any more questions or comments? Once again, feel free to type those in the comment box and I'll answer those questions. Also, if you want me to audit your social media page, feel free to copy and paste the link to your Facebook account, Twitter account. I'll pull up on the screen and I'll do a live audit of that. So, once again, if you want to share your page, please share that and I'll give you some tips on how you can maximize that page for your business. So far, yeah, great questions. Definitely keep them coming. Once again, I say this in every class I teach, a webinar. It's not about me. It's all about you, about making sure that you get your questions answered, that you are learning of how to use digital marketing, social media more to make more money. And like I said earlier, I think that's the attitude that we need to have on social media, that it's not about us. It's about our network and about finding out what our customers and what our potential customers want and make sure that we're giving that to them. I have a comment here. It says, we only have social media framework that are not filled yet. We will share our website if you will like, but we're not there on social media. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I hear you. So yeah, you definitely want to have social media set up. But yeah, feel free to share your website, and I'll look at your website real quick and give you some tips on how you can improve your website. Um, but yeah, I would say with that question too, don't overthink social media. If you're on the fence about social media, digital marketing, email marketing, just do it. I was teaching class the other day and somebody asked me, do they need to be on social media? Do they need to be on Facebook and other sites? And I was like, yeah. I mean, I feel like in 2021, that's a no-brainer. I said this in the opener, but the world is digital now. And if you're not, available on a phone or a laptop, computer, using social media, using email, all those things, you're slowly fading away. And you know, with that, I give one example of a Blockbuster. Um, if you're an old guy like me, you remember Blockbuster. They were the biggest company on every street. They had tons of videotapes and movies, but what happened with Blockbuster? They missed the whole internet wave. They said, "Oh, this internet thing is a fad; it'll go away." And it didn't go away. And Netflix came along, and Netflix they ate away at Blockbuster every year until now. Blockbuster is out of business. So once again, if you're on the fence about social media, website, digital marketing, yes, you want to invest in it now because I always say this. I think we're still in a time where social media, digital marketing is still new. But do you remember a few years ago when the iPhone came out? I think the iPhone came out in 2007. And, before that, there were Blackberries, there was Motorola, Samsung, there were flip phones, there were Razors, there were all these devices. But once the iPhone came out and it had apps on there, it had music, all those things, it blew every phone away and it changed the industry. And you think about it, companies now are still trying to catch Apple. Every phone looks like an iPhone now. Why? Because Apple changed the game. And I believe we're in the same place now with technology. We're still in this phase and stage where digital is still growing. People are getting more and more comfortable with digital marketing and social media. So if you're on the fence, now is the time to invest in digital marketing and social media because you don't want to be sitting on the fence 5 years from now saying, man, you know what? I wish we started a website. I wish we had been on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and so on, because those are becoming the new ways that your customer communicate with you. And more importantly, those are the places your customers are going. So as a business owner, you have to go where your customers are going. So I'll stop preaching, but but yeah, that's great. Back to your question that you have social media sites. Finish filling those out because once again, don't overthink it. Now you have to get in started. You have to get active in social media and digital marketing as soon as possible. Great question. Does anybody else have any more questions or comments about social media? If so, feel free to type those in the chat box and I'll do my best to answer those. Also, we're about halfway through tonight's webinar. So if I'm doing a great job, type five. So type five, I'm doing a great job. If I'm doing a terrible job, I need to shut up. type one. So type five, I'm doing a great job. Type one, if I'm doing an okay job. And while you're typing that, I'll read some questions back to you. Okay, so looks like somebody shared their Twitter handle with us. And they also rated us as a five. Appreciate that. So give me 1 second. Let me type in your Twitter handle and let's see if I can copy it first. We'll get started. Now, 1 second. Let me type this in. UNDI. You know what? I typed it in wrong. Let me try that again. I had the wrong page up here. Let me try that again. So UNDIB. Not coming for me. I guess I'm typing something wrong. Let me try that one more time. All right, one more time. Here we go. All right. I think we got it right that time. I don't know why it's not coming for me. Let's try one more time. UNIDIB. Let's try that again. Go back to Twitter. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I'm typing it wrong, but I can't pull it up. But I see your comment here. You're saying, what'd you say? You said, but we let it go for a while because things were crazy in the country in general. Yeah, so I guess without seeing it, I guess some general just this feedback. So, yeah, I think on social media it's all about building traction. So, when you can try to be active. You brought up things were crazy here. I'm not sure what you're talking about, but you do want to be careful of how you handle certain topics and controversy and those things online. You do want to be aware of that, but even if you're not creating and sharing your own content, you can still share content from news outlets or other places that support what you do. So once again, I'll say, sometimes we fall into this phase where we feel like we have to create all our content, there's plenty of articles and pictures and other things you can share in videos that can kind of get you through that. So definitely, I would say do that. Next thing I would say is I can't tell now, but make sure your profile is filled out all the way. So make sure that you have your bio filled out. Make sure that you have a custom banner and background that matches your branding. Once again, is all that matters. So that I think is key on Twitter. I would say also on Twitter, using of course hashtags are important. So finding the hashtags that have the most relevance with your brand and making sure you're putting those 3 4 hashtags in every single post. I think is very important. And Twitter is different. Twitter is like a news feed. Twitter, every second something getting posted, so it's kind of hard to stay up on Twitter long. So if you're on Twitter, unfortunately, you have to post a lot. I mean, you may have to post 10 times a day. Why? Because as soon as you make a post, it's getting pushed down. So on Twitter, I would say the more posting is the better. And I think the thing about Twitter and about other networks that we have to understand is uh, they're really about creating that short form content. So on Twitter, of course, you have a limited number of characters, so you have to be creative and witty about what you type, and use a picture or image that once again is not too long and that pulls somebody in. So once again, I would say that on Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, any network, think about ways you can create that short form content, ways that quickly and 15, 30 seconds, you can grab somebody's attention and have them pulled into your brand. Anyone else want to share any questions or comments that we have? Once again, if so, now is the time to just type those in the chat box, and I'll do my best to answer your question. Okay. Question here says, so true regarding Twitter. Good comment. Thoughtful. On the hashtag, yes, we will move forward with some of the less demanding sites that will longer Ving posts. Yeah, yeah, I agree. Twitter is great, but Twitter, you have to be active. On Twitter, I've been in there for, phew, I don't know, since 2010. I maybe have 2,000 posts. I have friends on there that have a large following and they have 30, 40,000 posts. So yeah, Twitter does take a lot of a lot of posting because the way it's set up is like a news feed. So yeah, I would definitely but for what you do, Twitter may work. So once again, I wouldn't totally give up on Twitter. Once again, even if you do still put once a day, if you're finding that you have a following or like-minded people on that network, make sure you're there. So even if you post on there less, I would still have a presence at least a few times a week where you're posting some piece of content on Twitter. Any more questions or comments? If so, just feel free to type those in chat box. And once again, I'll do my best to answer those questions. Okay, I have a question. Comment that says it's highly interactive. Um, okay, even if sharing other posts. Sorry, I'm taking a lot of time. No, that's fine. The more questions, the better. So yeah, once again, our Twitter is really big with the media. So people go there for information. So yeah, if you have something that happens in your field that people want to hear about, yeah, post. Excuse me. Make sure you post that. Once again, people are coming there for for fast information. Even myself, when something happens, whether it's locally or nationally, sometimes the first site I go to is Twitter because you're getting that quick, information, that quick feedback. So I think Twitter is very powerful for that. So I wouldn't totally give up or abandon Twitter, but definitely I would assess how you're using it and make sure that still you have a presence there because once again, you just want to be there. Anybody else? Any more questions or comments? Feel free to ask those, and I'll make sure that I get back to you. I have a question here. Is it okay to share other people's content if they're in your niche? Yes, I would say that. Sometimes we get afraid of sharing stuff, but social media is all about sharing. It's about communication. So I will say when you share somebody's content, make sure you give them credit. So don't steal their content, don't steal their picture. Make sure that you say where you got it from. And a lot of times, what you do is you find an article, a blog post, a post anything, you can give your feedback on that article. So let's say you follow what celebrity, Sean King, and anybody like that. And you see they post something, fine. You make a response based on their post. Hey, here's my thoughts on this article or this topic. What do you think? So once again, if you share, make sure you just give credit. And when you share, make sure you tag the person and say, hey, at whoever shared it, great piece of content. Here's what I think. So yeah, sharing is not a bad thing. And I think some of the biggest sites on social media, biggest profiles, all they do is reshare people's other content. So you can get a lot of followers and a lot of engagement by sharing content. But once again, sharing content that's relevant to your audience, that's relevant to your target market, I think really matters. But definitely feel free to share content. Make sure once again it fits your demographic, and as always, just give that feedback to the person that originally created that content. And I'll say one thing with that too. Sometimes sharing content about people in your field or your niche is a great way of networking. So if you see an article or a post by somebody that you admire, that you want to work with, retweet their content, repost their content on Facebook or Instagram, and give your comment on that. 'Cause once again, then they'll see that, and they might look at your page, and there might come some business out of that. So once again, definitely, I would say I would encourage reposting content from other pages, and that can be on Twitter, on Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever you do. Definitely feel free to repost content because once again, that's what social media is. It's about sharing information. So the more targeted information you can share with your prospects, with your current customers or potential customers, I think the better. Great question. Any more questions or comments? If so, just feel free to type those in the chat box, and I'll be sure to answer your questions. So we got about 15 minutes left. So once again, now is that time to answer those probing questions you have about social media. Just feel free to type that chat box. And while you're waiting, I'll piggyback on the last comment. They mentioned they drive mentioned niche, and when I think about social media, I think about niche. So one thing that's happening now is I think a lot of people are trying to go wide. They're trying to attract the widest group of people. And I think the pages, the company, the brands that have the most success on social media are targeting a very small population. So think about something like Target, not Target, Chick Fil A. their customers love chicken. So everything they do is around chicken. They're not talking about hot dogs or hamburgers or waffles or anything. They're talking about chicken. So once again, don't be afraid to go deep into your niche because I think when you go deep into your niche, that's how you become an expert. Take myself, my pages. I'm talking about digital marketing. I'm not talking about real estate. I'm not talking about investing. Those are all things that I have knowledge in, but online, I'm branding myself as the digital marketing expert. And that's the thing that make people really draw to your brand. Whatever you sell, people want to come to you. Why? Because you're a specialist, because you do something well. So they're not looking for a lawyer. They're looking for auto action lawyer. They're looking for a niche thing. They're looking for a boutique service. I always say that people are not looking for Walmart online. We know what Walmart has. I'm looking for that boutique service, that person that specializes in what they do. And people are drawn to the companies, to brands that are specialized, that are not general and serving everybody. So definitely, I would say be sure to make sure that you do a great job online of targeting your niche. And I think that goes for offline too. For years, people told me to get a niche, but I didn't. I was working with anybody and everybody. Why? Because I thought if I had a niche, that I would miss out on more business, and that's something that happens. We get into this hoarding phase. Like I need everybody. I can work with everybody. No, you can't. If you chase everybody, you're going to get poor results. But the minute I turned my social media, I turned my speaking, I turned everything I did to a certain niche, a certain demographic, things took off. And I'll share it with you. So for years, I was in the digital marketing field. I worked for all kind of companies, nonprofit, tech, food, sports, whatever you want to call it. And then when I spoke, I also spoke to a wide array of companies. But I was in the last year and a half, I really focused on helping minority and Black owned business owners make more money and make more sales by using digital marketing. And once I did that, my rates, my reach went through the roof. One, because it's very timely now, but also it's the niche. So people know when they come to Sterling McKinley that I am an expert in talking about how Black owned and minority owned companies can use digital marketing to make more sales. So once again, finding that niche is key because I'll tell you my own story. Once again, when I found that niche, things took off. Things got easier. I wasn't a general person just talking about digital marketing. I'm talking about digital marketing, yes, but digital marketing to Black and minority owned companies. So yeah, having a niche is so key. Anyone else have any comments or questions that they want to share? Once again, now is the time to ask those. Once again, because most webinars that you attend and a lot of mine, we're talking at you, but I want to hear from you and how I can help you and answer any challenges or questions you may have. Because one thing I'll share too, I think that everybody's business is so close. There's just a small change you need to make to your business, to your service, to your social media, your website for things to change. So, I view my job as kind of helping people identify those small things that if you change, they'll have a big impact. And that's one thing now. I think everybody's looking for like the big piece of advice or tip that's going to change their business and help them get 1 million followers on Instagram and 1 million followers on Facebook. But the more I talk with companies and I talk with thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of companies around the world and in the US, it's the small things. And if we can identify those small things that are turning customers off, the small things that are off of our targeting, the small change is where you see um the biggest return. So I said say if you have a question, if it seems dumb, if it seems minor, ask that question because I found a lot of times that small question, that small tweak is a gateway to unlocking even more business. So once again, don't feel afraid or bashful to ask your question or state your comment. Well, I'm waiting for the next question. I'm just going through the past questions and comments, seeing if I missed anything. But well, let's do this. In the next few months, we're talking about a few topics. We're talking about websites, personal branding, e-commerce, and video. So, for the people on this call right now, how many of you are selling online? Is that through a website? Is that through Amazon? Is that through Facebook, some platform? How many people are selling online? And that could be a physical product. That can be a virtual product. That could be a consultation. How many people type yes or no if you're currently selling online? And I ask that question because I think it's really, really key now, and it speaks to where we are now. Um, I think if you're online, yes, you have to be sharing your product and service, but you have to be offering something as well. And you'd be surprised of how many companies are not selling online, whether that's a consultation, a product or service. How many companies don't take credit cards from their customers, are not sending out electronic invoices? So this is kind of off topic here, but it's just one thing that I really, really I think is important, making sure that your business is digital and social savvy. And that's something that I talked about earlier. We're in this age now where everything is digital, everything is social, and it's also about making everything easy with your business. So once again, if I'm a customer and I'm looking at your product, your service, um, I'm ready to take action. I want to download. I want to buy something now. I want to book a consultation. I want to book a phone call. So even with my clients, it's so easy to pay me. I send them an electronic invoice. They can click pay. They can pay by check. They can pay by credit card, bank transfer. So one of the things I find is just making it easy. Um, Making it easy for people to do business with you. Because once again, don't make people think. Make it easy for them to do business with you. I have a comment here. It says, um, "Yes, but I have a lot to learn about how to use a digital platform." Yeah, I think we're all in the same boat. But if you're not investing in digital commerce, you're missing out. And I think one thing, digital commerce kind of goes hand in hand with social media. So you can use social media to promote and sell a lot of those different products or service. So I think that's definitely an area you want to move into. And, this whole webinar, I designed around all that. So it's called the new normal. And what I mean by that is that we're in a digital age now. And in order for your business to grow and thrive both now and the future, it has to be digital. So social media is key. We talked about that today and this month. Having an understanding of how Google and search works is really key. E-commerce is key. We'll talk about later in coming months. We'll talk about video. We'll talk about email. All these things are key, and it's coming more a requirement to be in business, to be digital and social savvy. So, if you're not strong in one of those areas, definitely tune in to future webinars and we'll talk about that. But, you want to get solid in those areas because once again, I look at the state of Black business right now, and I think sometimes Black companies are not doing as well as they could be doing because they're simply not taking the most advantage of different digital tools that are out there. That's it. We talked about social media. Social media is free. You can get in there for free. We talked about Google, that's free. Google My Business is free. Some e-commerce platforms are free. You just pay a fee when you get charged, when you get a payment from your clients. So once again, there are so many opportunities now, I think, as business owners. And the key is to make sure that we're using those to make more money. Whether you're using Square, anything, there's so many tools on now that make it easy for you to reach people and to make more sales. So, that's really, I think, what it's all about, just finding ways. So even this whole month here, talking about social media. Personally, I don't put much of my life on social media. Mine is my son, but besides that, I'm not a big person on personal side, but I'm on social media. Why? Because there's money there. And I think that's the same thing you have to do for your business. So whether it's being on Amazon, which I saw somebody was, whether that's being on Square, whether that's having a website, social media, you're there because your customers are there. You're there because you want to make business. And there's so many other companies that are on there. If you're not, you're really missing out on potential and new uh, revenue and income. So you have to be there, and you have to be present. Yeah, yeah. Thank you. I agree. It is an outstanding perspective. But no, like I'm saying, I just see things in business now, and we have to up our game. We have to use all these um, skills, tools, and technology to reach more customers. Because if not, we'll go the way of some of those companies that have gone away. So I'm going to stop talking now. We have about 3 minutes left. Once again, thank you for your time. I'm going to wrap up now. Going to share my screen again. So, once again, if you found this hybrid webinar helpful, where I just answer your question or comments, type yes, or if you're on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, press the like button. If you found this helpful, type yes or press the like button and let me know um, that you liked what I had to say. Once again, if you have any questions or additional comments, feel free to send an email to programs@usblackchambers.org. Once again, we'll do our best to get back to you and answer any questions or comments you may have. Also, if you want to view more trainings and also future trainings, visit usblackchambers.org/webinars for a list of more trainings. Once again, if you're looking for more training on any topic, whether that's finance, digital marketing, and so on, visit uschambers.org/webinar. Also, this webinar tonight and every webinar I've done for the last 2 months on social media and Google, if you're on Facebook, on YouTube, or on LinkedIn, this webinar is being recorded. Feel free to go back and play this again and rewatch it and get some more nuggets for anything I said or anything you may miss. But once again, all of these webinars are available on whatever platform you're streaming on, and they're on demand. And in closing, once again, thank you for your time. Tonight was a good class, great questions. Um, Next Tuesday, we are not having a webinar. We're taking off Tuesday because I need a break. But we're coming back next Thursday once again. And the month of August, we're talking about two things. We're talking about one, uh, more Google products and services, but also we're talking about building an effective website that gets more traffic, that gets more sales and engagement. And also, we're going to talk about how you can use social media in your website to build your personal brand. So, once again, that's going to take place on next Tuesday. If you want to sign up for that, visit uschambers.org and sign up for the webinar. So, on that note, good night. Once again, thank you for your questions and comments, and I'll see you again here.